should never be in the medicine and in the doctors. And I was getting taught that, and that was a big thing for me. Prior to this, one of our associate pastors at our church, his wife was pregnant, and they found out early in the pregnancy that there were not kidneys, and that they were told to terminate the pregnancy. And of course, our church rallied around, and they didn't terminate. They said, the child will be with us as long as God intends it to be with us. And our church was praying for kidneys and for this miracle, and I was just like, that's kind of weird. He doesn't have kidneys. Like, if he wanted kidneys, if God wanted to have kidneys, he would have been born with kidneys. But I'll pray that God will give him kidneys, but really I don't think he's going to give him kidneys. And that's what, was going through my head. And God was really convicting me of that, because what I was really doing is saying, God, I just believe that you can do this miracle, but just in case you decide not to, which I'm pretty sure that's what you're going to do, I just pray for peace. And I just pray for comfort for this family. Now, they do need peace and comfort, don't get me wrong. But it wasn't in my prayer, it was in my heart. Because I was simply saying, I know that you can, but I know that you won't, so do this instead. And that's putting limitations on the Lord. So when I got diagnosed with cancer and I had to go through this, God was like really convicting me of that and showing me that this is an area in your life that you have not surrendered to me, that you have not given me complete control of, that you're trying to put limitations on me for, and all this stuff. And he just said, you just have to stop, and the trust has to be in me first, and then through me, medicine and doctors and whatever. So I had to set limitations with my doctors from the get-go. They told me a percentage of my survival rate, and I was like, that's the last time you're ever going to tell me that, because number one, that's just not good, and number two, that's just kind of scary. So let's just don't talk about that. But if I hear him talk about that, and if I hear that, it's just going to be fear in my mind. And that fear is going to take me away from God. Because all I'm going to be doing is sitting there and thinking about, well, I only have like a 30% chance of living for 5 years. I mean, that's not good. And it says in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and always acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. And it's just, they can give me a statistic, but who's in charge of the statistics? That's man-made. Who's in charge of my life? Well, that's God, and only God can tell me when I'm going to die, and only God knows when I'm going to die, not some person over here saying, well, most people do this, so I'm just going to put you in that category because that's just comfortable for me, because, if I give your hopes up, I don't want you to be disappointed when it doesn't happen. So just trusting in God for that. And also, Satan will definitely come in and try to attack your thoughts, and I know, and please don't hear what I'm not saying. I mean, I think the support groups are awesome, and I think that they can really, provide support that people need. But for me, because because God was teaching me such an important lesson, God pretty much told me, you do not need to go on the internet, and you do not need to go to support groups. Because for me, what I needed to learn was to trust in him. I'm sure anybody who gets like a sore throat, what do? Google sore throat. And then all these things come up, and you're like, by the end of it, you're like, I'm going to die. I've got this rare disease that's only found in Africa. And the internet can create so much fear, and sometimes that knowledge is just not good for us. Because then our mind is just doing this. And I know my biggest thing was I would type in melanoma blogs because I just wanted to see, hey, what are other melanoma people doing? And every melanoma blog was like in memory of, and memory of, and memory of, and memory of. And I'm like, well, this isn't good because everybody's dying. So I was like, I just can't do this. So I asked Ryan, and I had people at church, and people ask me every day, are you reading the internet? Have you read the internet? And I was like, yeah. And they go, I know, because you're not acting like yourself. I can see the fear in your eyes. Let's sit down and let's pray, and let's ask God to break you free of the internet thing. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend like I never look on the internet anymore, because it does. The curiosity creeps up, and you're like, let's just see if there's any survivors, And then, of course, there's not. And then I'm just back to crying at my computer, and then everybody comes home and like, what's wrong? I'm like, I read on the internet. And they're like, Holly, so I told you not to go on the internet. And I was like, I know. But, accountability is such an important thing. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no man to help him. And that's Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 10. It just says you're not supposed to go through anything alone. And it's so easy for us to pretend that everything's okay and to put on a front and to not, let people know that we're really struggling. And that's dangerous for us because, if I didn't tell people that I was struggling with this internet thing, I would just be on the internet every day, and what kind of life would be that? Because I'm going to be going to bed thinking I'm going to die. All these people died, or this person couldn't walk after this surgery, and gosh, this surgery just seems awful, and blah blah blah, and this and that, and then I'm going to bed. What? With Satan, because that's not God. And you have to really guard your thoughts, and you have to really guard your heart against that, because it just seems, oh, that's natural. Well, it is to some extent. One of my favorite quotes, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Joyce Meyer, but I had just been in love with this book called Battlefield of the Mind. And it said, don't let the desire to overwhelm and question God control your life. Well, it's okay to ask God questions like, why me? Why? I'm only 26. Thought I would live for another 50 years. What's going on? And, it's okay, I think, he's big enough for our questions. But when you start pursuing him and you start building a relationship with him, that question just doesn't become important anymore. Because you just realize that no matter what, God's going to be with you and he's going to walk with you, and you don't really need to desire that understanding. I haven't really asked why in a long time, and and that's great because I just don't feel the need to know. If he wants me to know, I'll eventually know. And if he never wants me to know, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm enjoying the walk that I'm doing right now. And he also, this is kind of a pursuing of God that, I saw him at the beginning of the cancer journey. He pursued me at the doctor's office with Jonah. He pursued me by planning ahead for me when I didn't know I was going to need the planning. And he pursued me through the church. And when I say church, I don't mean like Daystar, and I don't mean Gopher Park. I mean the church, because regardless of what church you're at, right here is the church. Now, we could be sitting outside, but we're the church. The church isn't us. The church is not a building. So when I say pursue me through that, it was people at Gopher Park, it was people at Daystar, it was people at other churches, it was somebody in Africa that I had no idea. It was just people, God's church surrounding you and helping you. And I got a call and I was told that Gopher Park was bringing me meals, and there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and when would you like it? And that taught me also how to serve. Being a young person, let's just all be honest, when we're young and in our 20s, not much else surrounds us but our family and our own struggles, and we all get in this little bubble. And it's pretty much when you start seeing, when something happens to you, you kind of wake up and realize, oh, there's other stuff going around, and wow, this is how you serve, because, oh man, I missed that. This person was going through that, and I was just over here in my little world, not thinking about what I could do for them. And Gopher Park was definitely the main factor in that. When they called me up, I hadn't seen people in some people in 11 years, and they showed up on my doorstep with food, and they were like, here you go, Holly. And it broke me to realize, number one, how I'm not serving other people, but number two, that God is, I'm going through this, but look at all the stuff he's doing while I'm going through this. He set up people who love me so much that regardless of if they've seen me in 11 years, they've showed up at my doorstep with food. And what can be more romantic than being pursued by the church and being pursued by other people? And it's nice, and we all want to label it as that's just a good person, and it's not. It's God's romance through the church to you. Because if we're going to be honest here, let's just face it, there really are no good people. I can tell you all the junk that's in my life, and you guys will get up and walk out, I'm not listening to her. She is evil. And if you were around me when I was in youth group, you know that that's true. That would be a good word. But, just the stuff that's in our heart, we do a good deed, but that doesn't make us good. What makes us good is the blood of Christ. Because without that blood, we would never be worthy enough to stand in front of God. Ever. And, we fool ourselves to thinking that we can do our deeds and we can do this and that. And that's why people, why do bad things happen to good people? I have people ask me that, and I'm like, well, I don't know, because I'm not a good person. So, when you find one, let me know, because I deserve this. If you